halfway done. We've made it halfway. This week, the Steelers and 49ers are on bye. Congrats.
Just 2 teams, huh?
Just 2. After, nobody. Back to 2. And I think next week we have 4. The following week, I think we also have 4. So we'll see how it goes. But pretty exciting week. We picked an awesome quarterback last week in Bo Nix. QB2 on the week.
Yeah, and current QB 15
overall
on the season in points per game, and overall he's QB 9. But yeah. I mean, we got to start thinking of him as like
maybe
kind
not
of a dual
anymore.
threat. Well, kind of a dual threat guy, Like I know he only had 4 yards rushing, but he has 4 rushing touchdowns. He's gone over 30 yards 4 times this year, in another game with 25. So yeah, I mean, it's interesting, very, very interesting. It was Carolina though, so we always got to say that.
Yeah, I also had the famous Jameis shout out.
That worked out.
He's top 10 right now.
Yeah,
against Baltimore too.
Well, Baltimore is really set up to like do well for quarterbacks. So that's a good one to kind of aim for. If you have a quarterback that's playing the Ravens, it's actually a surprisingly good matchup for you. Mm-hmm. Unless you're just a horrible quarterback, and then normally doesn't end up too well. But anyway, waiver wire. We already started talking about it. So quarterback that I like, Bo Nix, 32.1% roster. It's still widely available. And as we just talked about, he gets to play the Ravens. Gives you a good opportunity. Current quarterback too. He's done 23.1 fantasy points, 21.7, 14.1, 29.8. So pretty good overall. I'm happy with it.
Right. And Ravens' 3rd best matchup for quarterbacks.
Yeah. I was like, they're pretty high. I'm pretty sure. Don't know why. They're just allowing quarterbacks to throw.
I think in most weeks, I mean, you've got teams chasing points on them. There's a lot of garbage time stuff. This week, I think, was an outlier.
Yeah.
But still, can't complain with the results.
Still works. And then Matthew Stafford, 12.2%. We didn't really get a full chance to talk about it because we weren't sure about who was playing. But with both Puka and Kupp back, he looks pretty good. This week gets to play Seattle, who looks horrible. Had 10 days of rest. He'll be going from a Thursday to a Sunday. And last week he put up 25.8 fantasy points. Not too worried about it. Think he's a pretty easy streamer right now. And widely available. Things that are important.
Yeah. I mean, with his weapons back, he's legit. We didn't realize Puka was going to be back.
Yeah, that was a big
shortly before the game, and we didn't realize he was going to play as much as he did, and then all that stuff. But yeah, he's great when his guys are out there. That offense is. You can make an argument that the Rams' offense is the best offense in football when they have all their guys healthy with Puka and Cooper Kupp and other guys to supplement them in Tutu and
Demarcus
Robinson, Jordan Whittington, Kyron Williams. So. Yeah, it's legit offense.
Higbee will come back at some point too.
Yep.
Yeah, and it just keeps looking better. So those are my 2. Who do you want to talk about, Mike?
Yeah,
I know you love him so much.
Yeah, I did write Stafford, not even realizing you had him, so I just erased that. But Sam Darnold's still under that 50% threshold. And yeah, I mean, he's QB 14 on the year. Like, he's just gonna the offensive situation there and the environment is ideal, right? You get Justin Jefferson and Addison, you're getting Hawkinson back, you got Aaron Jones, you got a good coach. So only kind of hang up here is that they lost their left tackle, who's really good in Darrisaw. And we've seen there's some teams where the left tackle, like the Giants are one of them, they just completely fall apart without their left tackle. And I'm a little bit worried about what that's going to mean for the Vikings offense. Like it could have that big of an impact where it just implodes. But I trust in O'Connell, to kind of figure out a game plan around that. So they play the Colts. They're one of the teams you generally want to target, I would say. So they get the Colts, Jags, and then Titans. I don't know if the Titans are a good or bad defense, but they just got lit up by Detroit. So at least 2 good games, maybe 3 good games coming up in a row.
And
they got lit up by Detroit with nothing on offense, though. That's the thing.
He threw under 100 passing yards and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
I think it was the first time since like the 40s that a team's put up 50 points with under 100 passing yards. Like it just doesn't happen at all.
Yeah, there's like a couple of, I think one was like a Chief back in the day. It's nuts to have under 100 passing yards and 3 touchdowns, passing touchdowns.
Yeah.
Sorry.
David Montgomery had as many passing touchdowns as the Titans. That's how that game went for them.
But Calvin Ridley looked good.
Yeah. Pollard.
Then he got hurt because it's Calvin Ridley. Because that's what happens. As soon as he starts looking good, hammy. Every time.
Yeah.
Every single time.
Yeah. I mean, it's like Pollard and Ridley are the only things on that offense. So somehow Pollard still got 20 carries. I don't know how that worked. I guess that game was like 14-14 at one point.
Because Spears didn't play. So
yeah. I just didn't think
passing game.
Yeah. Tua still under 50%. These are kind of like a lot of leagues, these guys will be rostered, but Tua, he didn't have the greatest game coming back, but we expect that offense to bounce back. I think he had almost 15 points in 4-point per passing touchdown. He had 234 and 1. So, he's normally going to be a pretty safe, 220 and 2, I would say, for the most part. And, we obviously know what his weapons are capable of. And then deeper leagues, Steve brought him up, Jameis Winston. I think he had like 3 potential interceptions dropped in that game, but that's just who he is. And in fantasy, most sites, like you only get -1 for an interception. It really doesn't mean much. I actually think there was like a study that says it might've been with pick sixes that actually leads to more fantasy points just because, now you're chasing points and now you're throwing the ball more and an interception's only -1, maybe -2 points. We don't get punished enough. So I don't really care too much about interceptions if you're going to be throwing 3 touchdowns. So, I mean, he looked good against the Ravens, but maybe that's matchup. I don't know. Maybe the Ravens are a team to match up, or to play against. They get the Chargers next. I'm still not 100% convinced about the Chargers defense. They've had like the easiest schedule for fantasy. I say it every week.
Yeah,
fantasy defenses. Yeah, it's like, now you just got Rattler, Hayner, Saints. I guess the only good team they kind of shut down were the Cardinals, but they're kind of up and down this year. So, but yeah, Jameis Winston. If all those other guys are taken, which they could be, he's available almost everywhere.
All right, you got anybody, Steve?
Nope. Number 1 team to give up QB points is Tampa Bay going up against Mahomes. And the number 2 defense giving up QB points is the Jags going up against Hurts. So the rich get richer this weekend.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. If Mahomes breaks 20, I'll be happy. That will be a record-setting week for
season
Mahomes.
High. Yeah. Will he break his streak of interceptions? That's the question.
You hope so. All right.
Like 8 games in a row with a pick or something?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Well, maybe Hopkins changes the tide for him.
I do think it helps that offense, that's for sure. It helps alleviate some pressure off of like Kelsey and stuff.
I mean, it can't make it worse.
No.
All right. Well, out of quarterback, into running back. And I'm still coming back to my guy, Justice Hill. 24.3% rostered. I know it's a roller coaster, up and down. But anytime the Ravens are chasing points, he's the one you're going to want. I know that Henry will still get the goal line work. You don't love that, but 3 of his 8 weeks, double-digit fantasy points, which for somebody that you're just holding on a bench, and if Henry goes down, it will more than likely have a massive week. Same point, Keaton Mitchell, Going to add that in there because same team coming back from IR. Potentially, I know his window's open, and I'm not sure if they've actually fully elevated him yet, but a name to keep in mind because he did look explosive in his limited use last year. So that's the only ones I'm really want to talk about because the rest of it's ugly out there.
Yeah. Running backs are not great this week, that's for sure. Tyrone Tracy playing tonight in about 30 minutes. If you want to go out and grab him, still think you should. I know people may have dropped him because of Singletary coming back. The first game back, we haven't seen a second game. It was Tracy dominating. Now, that could have just been because Singletary was recovering from his injury first game back, or it could be because they're just heading towards, giving Tracy more work. But I think he'll have something with the upside of, it's his backfield. So I think he 100% needs to be rostered. And, yeah, besides that, it's a bunch of, handcuffs, Blake Corum, Braylon Allen, Ray Davis, Trey Benson. These are kind of the high-end handcuffs that if you have them and you're looking good to make the playoffs, you're 7-1 now, 6-2. Maybe start handcuffing your guys, consolidating your roster here soon. Maybe it's slightly early, but it's time to start at least thinking about it. And then Isaac Garendo, they're going into a bye, like you said, but what if CMC's not healthy or ready? What if Jordan Mason's injury is a little bit more serious and he takes a couple weeks? So Garendo could be a start in a couple of weeks. But yeah, other than that, it's not great for if you need something next week.
Yeah, we're thankfully the one area that we're not struggling with running backs staying healthy, knock on wood for now, is that position. I mean, running backs are just doing fine. Everywhere else seems to be riddled with things popping up, but
yeah,
that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, and then there was two running backs. I think it was Rappaport talked about potentially in his running backs that could be traded. Khalil Herbert and Miles Sanders. Both those guys are widely available.
I was just going to bring that up too.
Yeah, so I think that's next week is the trade deadline. Next Tuesday
Wednesday,
or something.
Yeah, we're 9 days out. Yeah.
Okay, so if you want to get ahead of that, just hold those guys if you can. Maybe they get some. They go to Dallas. We would want to see. Is there anyone else really that we're super excited if a running back goes to that? I'm not really sure, but Dallas is the obvious one. If one of these guys go to Dallas,
you may be right. It may be Tuesday.
Okay,
but this is the
Either way,
thing. It's a home run swing that you're hoping by 8 days from now.
Yeah,
they get traded into a situation that you get somebody for free, basically.
Oh God.
And if not, if they don't go anywhere and they stay where they are, what they're doing, easy cut.
What?
Waivers run the next day, and you already know who you're cutting.
Yeah, it is Tuesday, election day, so go out and vote. But that's not before waivers run for most people. So and maybe waivers are usually Tuesday night, Wednesday morning. If it does happen and one of those guys go to Dallas, everyone's going to be going for one of those guys.
It'll be
so
a hot
maybe get
pickup
ahead
the
of
next day. So
yeah,
if you get them now, you get in early for free.
Yeah, I was trying to see if there's any other team that might need a running back. I mean, outside of the 49ers, who they need as many as they can get.
Maybe the
Raiders.
I
mean, really, this is the last weekend where you're looking at if an injury happens, and this is the worst case scenario because Travis Etienne, or not Travis, I keep putting them together. Leonard Fournette is still lingering out there in free agency, but that's really the only name of note. The free agency is weak, and Khalil Herbert was a healthy scratch for the Bears this weekend. So at this point, he's a luxury piece for them that they don't super need unless something happens to Swift. So, you're really looking at, I would trade him to get something. It's just, where would you go with that? I don't know.
Yeah, it's
Kansas City, if they're worried about Pacheco, maybe.
But they should have CEH. That's why I'm so confused.
Well, his is a whole mental health thing. So that's you can never be too
Raiders are another one. I mean,
but they're not doing anything.
I know. Why would they even do that, right? That's
right.
It's really Dallas, is really the only team.
But even then, they're 3-4. I mean, do we still buy that? Or no, now they're 3-5. So do we even buy that they're? Wait, was that right? 3-4. 3-4.
I think they are 3-4.
The other way around. Yeah, so 3-4. Yeah. But
maybe
still,
Cleveland.
I mean, could they push for it? I don't think so. Cleveland, no, they just got Chubb back.
Yeah. There's really no team. It has to. It's either Dallas, and they make. I wouldn't put it past Jerry. Be like, no, we can still do this, and of course they can. They can still potentially go on a run, but yeah, it's either that or an injury comes up.
It could make the playoffs. It could happen again.
Yeah, sure. It's tougher in the NFC, but yeah, for sure.
So, all right. Well, glad we got that discussion out of the way. Let's move into wide receivers because
it's exciting.
Yeah, this is the area that matters. Couple of big injuries happened, and some of the things that we wanted to see, we saw. So, first one up, Cedric Tillman, 19.5% rostered. Jameson Winston has come in, been famous Jameis, goed up for the Browns. Everybody's on fire at the Browns right now. And Cedric Tillman had himself a week. 99 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's a pretty solid day. Another kind of name to keep on that same note is Elijah Moore. He saw more targets, had a lower ADOT, but both these names, I mean, with Winston under center, might as well have 2 pieces because Judy's not seeing the targets. He is running the most routes, though, still. So that was interesting. And what's up?
No, it's just crazy that like Jameis comes in and like you would have been happy. Well, they win for one, but you would have been happy starting Cedric Tillman, Elijah Moore, Jerry Jeudy, and Njoku. There's 4 guys on Cleveland. We couldn't even.
And that's not even including Chubb. Chubb actually, he had a good yard per carry. They just didn't really need him to do anything.
They just wow, there's 4 pass catchers that you could have, thrown a dart at and you would have been okay. So yeah, and Tillman's not. I think I mentioned this, but 3rd round pick a couple years ago, and I think it was his the year he had his last college year and then he came out to the draft. But the year before that, he was kind of talked up as oh, this guy might be a 1st round pick type of thing. There's some talent there. He has the size. He kind of has the build to potentially be something. So he's definitely intriguing. So lots of targets, 21 targets the last 2 weeks for him.
Yeah. And I mean, last week, 80.1. This week, 28.9. I mean, Winston's doing something for the Browns, and it really makes them look silly. So,
absolutely,
gotta love that. Browns fans are all pumped up to see Winston out there leading this team. So, congrats.
Yeah.
Going to bring up a name that's very widely available, really kind of a dart throw, but Christian Kirk goes out. He's done for the year with a collarbone. Brian Thomas has an injury. They initially said 2 to 4 weeks, but now it's looking he's day to day. Wasn't as serious as they thought, but he ran the most routes. Played the most snaps. Gabe Davis also played a little bit, but again, another injury.
He got hurt too.
But he saw 4 targets on his 25 routes and went 3 for 4 for 46 yards. So I know it's not a whole lot, but Jaguars are going to have to throw.
Did you actually say you're talking about Parker Washington? I don't know if you actually said the name Parker Washington. I may have zoned out and missed it. But you started talking about, you said deep leagues, Kirk is hurt, Thomas 2 to 3 weeks, and then you just went through your notes. I don't think you ever actually mentioned you're talking about Parker.
I'm pretty sure I said Parker to start.
0.1% owned.
0.1% owned. Yeah.
Very,
very widely available everywhere. Almost everywhere, except for probably Dynasty Leagues would be that 0.1%. But yeah, again, widely available. Anybody can pick him up. Really, it's an easy pick up and see. Otherwise, again, if he doesn't do anything next week, you can cut it and not worry about it too much. But we're the shot. So, and then Mike, again, like some of your picks again. So
yeah,
let's go through them.
I was surprised when you didn't have Josh Downs on here because I know that's your guy, and yeah, he's legit. I mean, he might be the best receiver on that team. You just look at his numbers from when he came back. 4 of the 5 games have been not just good. Oh, okay, he got you 4 for 60, 5 for 70. 22.2, 15.9, 19.5, 22.2. That's 4 of his last 5 games. Like, he's been awesome. And this one was with Anthony Richardson, except for the one, I guess he came out on a play because he was tired or something, which, like, what? I've never heard that before. But
Something
and there's
new.
the chance. Yeah, there's a chance they go to Flacco, man. Like, I know it doesn't make sense, and I think we all kind of agreed, like, really, like, we're gonna go to Flacco, but also, like, coaches do weird things when they're under pressure, and, like, they might be under pressure to do something. And what are the Colts? I think, aren't they 4-4 right now? Like, they're 500. Maybe they think in kind of a weaker AFC they can make a run or something. So. Yeah, I mean, if it's Flacco, we love it, but I still think Downs can be good with Anthony Richardson.
Here's a question:
Michael
Are
Wilson,
the Colts the worst 4-4 team in the history of the NFL?
probably.
Yeah,
it feels
More
like
like
they're
history.
a
I don't
2-win
know.
team, doesn't it? Doesn't it feel
Yeah.
like they've only got 1 or 2 wins on the season and they're tanking? And then you look at it and it's like, wait a minute, they've actually won half their games? How did that happen?
Flacco.
They almost won this last one too. Like, they almost, like, messed around and beat the
It's
Texans.
crazy.
Yeah. So.
Well, they had
I
to
don't
take
know.
out Stephon Diggs to do that.
Yeah. Right. Seriously. Michael Wilson. Hopefully this Cardinals offense gets a little bit more consistent. It's been kind of like Jekyll and Hyde a little bit, but 6 targets, 5 catches, 31 yards, and touchdown. I think we mentioned this all the way back when we recorded, like, the first 32 and 32, and kind of said, like, I think Wilson's going to probably have to do it on, like, a bigger touchdown total. And he has 2 in the last 3 games, but I think that's going to be his path, is, like, he gets 4 or 5 catches, but he's going to need a touchdown. Could have worse plays, that's for sure. Ricky Pearsall, rookie, made a play, made a big catch. It's going to take him. Don't expect him to just, like, step right in and be awesome. Like, it's going to take, just like any rookie, some time. But I kind of trust in Shanahan to kind of get his guys open, and he's going to have opportunity. Ricky Pearsall, and
when he had that end around, I was pretty impressed with his speed. He looked pretty good. It was a very similar Debo play, but worked out for him pretty well. He found a big hole and went with it.
Yeah. So 60% of the snaps, you want to see it higher. That's for sure. You're gonna get some inconsistency, but yeah, I mean, that just shows you they want to get the ball in his hands, and he had almost 80 total yards on 5 touches. So they'll get him open. They'll give him the ball. They'll hand the ball to him, and all that. And then Jalen McMillan. Really, any of the Buccaneers guys. Now, all the targets went to, like, running backs and tight ends, but Jalen McMillan
most routes.
ran the most routes. Trey Palmer kind of played that X receiver role. Sterling Shepard was a little bit more of the Godwin role in the slot. So I think all
got
of them.
Injured.
Yeah. Oh, he did, huh? I think I missed that.
You have to realize that's Shepard's MO. He finally gets the opportunity and gets hurt. So
yeah, it's sad. It's sad.
Yeah, man, it's brutal. But yeah, I like all those. The thing with Downs is just it's too much of a roller coaster. I'd rather just stay off of it the best I can. And so love the upside potential. And if they do go to Flacco, absolutely fire him up every week. Fine with that. It's just he's really a flex because you don't know what you're going to get, and that makes me nervous.
Yeah.
Anybody else we need to touch on?
I'm gonna
I think that's all.
I'm gonna throw out one that Mike has mentioned a few times. Xavier Legit in Carolina, especially now with you have Cup, who probably isn't going anywhere. The contract was already going to be an issue, but now that they won a game and they still think they have a realistic shot to backdoor into the playoffs with everybody getting healthy, he's not going anywhere. The other trade target really was Christian Kirk. He gets hurt, so now he's not going anywhere. So that makes the most appealing and affordable trade target at wide receiver Deontay Johnson, because there's no reason to hold Deontay Johnson when you're not winning games. He's a free agent at the end of the season anyway. Whoever takes him on would owe him less than $5 million. So I feel very strongly that by next week, Deontay Johnson will have a new home. And when he does, Xavier Legit this week led the team in targets. Whatever that means, it's still something. He had 84% of the snaps played this week. So he's getting more involved in the offense. And without Deontay Johnson there, he's only going to get more involved. Even when Thielen comes back, I think that helps. We'll see. But I think that's a deep dive for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
like that for sure. Deontay Johnson, future Charger. Just throwing it out there.
Maybe.
Future somebody, that's for sure.
Okay. Yeah. That was worth a shot. You know, you never know. Speaking of things we don't know about, let's go back to tight end roulette here. Luckily, one widely available. Not so much of a roulette here.
Yeah. It was National Tight Ends Day. We got that shoved down our throat. And I have a conspiracy theory with that because it just felt like they're just like really trying to push that. I know it's been the last couple of years. I feel like the NFL is like trying to make that a real thing. And I feel like Goodell goes to all the coaches and says, hey, make sure the tight ends are part of your plan on this day. We're going to make this a thing. We're going to sell T-shirts and all this stuff. And you just hear it over. How many times do we hear it on with the announcers? It was ridiculous, you know? So, yeah, the belts and everything.
I'm also upset.
The most
one of my tight ends didn't score. So, like, dang,
yeah, right.
Of course not. That'd be one thing I need to hit my parlay. And sure enough. But, oh, well. So, loading it up because, you know, K-Dotton, 46.7% rostered. Don't know why after last week he isn't higher. Saw the most targets this week without Godwin and Evans. Ran the second most routes. Played the most snaps. Current tight end 1 for this week. 29.1 fantasy points. Last week only finished as tight end 5 with 18 fantasy points. So without those two for at least another week, if not 2, I mean, might as well roll them out there. It's a pretty solid option, pretty safe. And another name that's also probably widely available, Brenton Strange, because as we talked about, Kirk and Thomas being beat up and Kirk being out, the tight ends got to move up. Both Ingram and him saw 4 or 5 targets each, and a tight end, if you can do that and go with your 50 yards, you're sitting pretty. So, all right, those are my 2, Mike. Go for it.
Yeah, Taysom Hill, keep bringing him up. Like he could have especially as long as
Mike. He's the one who didn't score, Mike.
I know. But 20 yards and two catches for him, it's pretty good. You know, like I know. I thought he was going to get a little bit more involvement, but good to see. I mean, the 4 carries, 2 catches. He'll be used around the goal line. They just didn't really put up many points. So still like him. Noah Fant. He had some good weeks. He's getting some targets. I think he's a talented guy. Just, that last week's game or yesterday's game against Buffalo was just kind of like they got destroyed, but previously before that, 6 targets, 6 catches, 63 yards, 4 targets, 4 catches, 65 yards. And again, 4 targets yesterday just didn't really turn into anything. And then Will Disley, I guess.
Hayden Hurts is being sidelined. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. I mean,
continues to put up points.
The Monday night game last week, 8 catches. I don't know why you're giving Will Disley 11 targets. That's just pretty sad. But he had 11 targets, 8 catches, 81 yards. And then yesterday, 7 targets, 5 catches, 41 yards. Like, he's going to be decent play as long as Hayden Hurst is out, like you said. So, yeah, National Tight End Day. Does that extend into today, or is it just a one day?
I mean, it has to extend. It has to go. It should be this entire week. So I'm guessing Thursday through Monday. So all of week 8.
And is it going to just always be like the last Sunday of October? Is that what they're doing? Or like, are they, because they can't just have it on the 28th or the 27th because that moves. And I remember it last year being a thing. So I feel like they're doing the last Sunday of October, I guess, is the official day. I don't know if we have any word on that, but I'm curious.
Yeah,
no idea.
All right. Anybody else? I know Steve. This is Steve's favorite position. So
it is. The opportunity is king, right? So I'm gonna go another deep dive. I gave you that fun Otten stat, how he's run more routes than anybody. So
Finally came to fruition.
a name to keep on your radar. I would not pick him up yet, but just something to keep an eye on is Theo Johnson with the Giants tonight, especially. Through 7 weeks, he has run. He's 7th in the league in tight end routes run and only has 16 targets on the season. He is the only one in the top 10 with under 30 targets. So Daniel Jones just not throwing him the ball for whatever reason. But the rest of the way, they have a very light schedule against defenses that are not good against the tight end. So if Daniel Jones ever starts throwing to anyone other than Malik Neighbors, Theo Johnson could eventually be that guy. The biggest issue, like I said, is just he's running the routes. He's on the field 80% of the time every game. He's just not getting the looks from Jones for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Just a name to know.
No, I like that. I think he's talented as well. So I like that.
Could be worse. All right. Finally, defense. Let's wrap it up. Keep touching on him. Still too widely available. I mean, this week they kind of struggled, but Chicago Bears, 47.9% rostered. Currently the 4th best in fantasy, and they get to play the Cardinals next week. Good defenses have done well against the Cardinals, with a majority of them getting 7+ fantasy points. So they're actually, like I said, the Bears are a pretty good defense. It's tough going up against Jaden Daniels is what we've kind of decided because he's a freak. And
well, Washington is the 2nd worst matchup for a defense so far through 8 weeks. But it was actually encouraging the fact that the Commanders got inside the 10-yard line 3 times and settled for 3 field goals. They did not score a touchdown all game until there were zeros on the clock. So
yeah,
I mean they held them in check. They put up yardage, but they held them in check for a while.
Are they cutting one of their better cornerbacks?
Tariq Stevenson? I don't think so.
No, I know.
I think he's going to pretend to apologize and then move on.
That was wild.
They need to decimate Arizona this weekend if they. They're
part of the reason I put them on
rolling. Yeah,
because they need to do something.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's really the one that I had the most belief in. So,
yeah. Commanders, we just brought them up offensively, but like it was kind of like, oh, they're the team to target for your fantasy players when they play. I think they might be turning things around now. Like
the past 3 games have been pretty good.
Yeah, last 4 games are the 3rd best defense, and that includes a 30-point, I think, loss to the Ravens. So I mean, that's the Ravens. Like they're gonna make a lot of teams look silly, but yeah, I mean, Dan Quinn, defensive guy, like he might be turning this team around a little bit. So they play the Giants. It's always a team you want to be targeting. So that intrigues me. And then another team that's kind of turning it around is the Eagles. They've been a lot better lately after their kind of tough start, and things seem to be coming together a little bit. And they get the Jags without Brian Thomas, without Christian Kirk, maybe without Gabe Davis. Like that's going to be tough for Lawrence. And so that might be another team to be targeting here. So yeah, Commanders, Eagles, I like those 2 this week.
Yep. All right. You have anybody to mention, Steve?
Mine is always play the defense against the Titans, but it is the Patriots. So
yeah,
you'd have to be real desperate. But if you wanna really throw a dart and take a shot, that would be the one to do it because they have to be extremely available because they have stunk. So I gotta think they're available in basically every league.
Yeah, they're less than 4%.
So there you go. Yeah.
Rostered.
So there you go. Anybody against the Titans is always my philosophy.
Yeah,
so
Eagles get the Jags.
There's your long shot.
I was like, the other one that I'm kind of potentially interested in is the Lions, but they're probably not available in a majority of leagues because we told people to pick them up last week or the week before and been riding that for a little bit.
I mean, anybody against the Raiders also tends to work. Cincinnati is out
Saints
there
versus the Panthers.
Yeah, Anybody against
Yeah.
Carolina also works. Saints have been okay. They've been real beat up, but they still haven't been getting like wrecked yardage wise. So it hasn't been terrible.
Commanders get the Steelers also in week 10, so I always like to look at beyond that. So it's not
not just
not
a
bad
bad
one.
thing.
Yeah, and again, like you said, Chicago, they get Patriots after that, and and they're just a good defense too. It's always good to just find good defenses. Like someone dropped Kansas City in one of my leagues, I think, because they were playing San Francisco. It might have been during their bye, and I was like, I'm just gonna play them all the time because I know they're a good defense. So I don't really.
They're not gonna kill me, and that's what matters.
Yeah. There's some defenses you don't worry about matchups. I feel like Chicago is potentially one of those. So.
All right. Well, with that, we're going to let you all go and enjoy this Monday night game. We're going to get out of here. Everybody, good luck in week 9. Hopefully, week goes well. We'll get more news. Be back Wednesday for roster of the people, and then back to start sit questions. So, that in mind, everybody have a good week. And remember, as always, to keep up the nonsense.